My name is Denise White, and I am the host of the Coffee in the Green Room podcast. Here on Coffee in the Green Room, we have those conversations that you may not have from stage, but you have in the green room before you take the stage. Today, I am so excited to have Kew Jaliens here, football star, amazing motivational speaker. Kew, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been great to be on.
Awesome. Oh, it's so exciting to talk to you. I have so many questions for you. But before we get started, I know that you're very well known for being a football star, or for my American listeners, a soccer star. So we have to translate to American. So can you talk a little bit about your football career and like, how did you get started in football?
Yep. Yeah, of course. So for me, I started off as a young kid. I started playing football when I was 5. And from what my parents and my family members tell me is that from baby, like I used to kick everything that was moving. So that might have been that might
That
have
was a
been
good
some,
indicator that you'd be good at this.
yeah. So no, yeah, I started when I was 5, and pretty early on, kind of found that I was a bit better than the rest of my friends. So I skipped ages pretty early, and I started to play at the highest amateur level when I was 15. So I was
Wow.
playing against like grown men already. Um, but yeah, that was kind of a bit my mentality, like always pushing myself and working up against the big boys and the faster boys,
Yeah.
just to compete. Like I'm a real competitor. And from there, so in Holland, where I'm from in Rotterdam, there are 3 professional clubs. So the scouting network is pretty big. And I was like scouted by a few different professional clubs. And I had to make pretty big decision back then already, because there were 3 big clubs in the Netherlands that wanted me to come. And I picked one that was still in my area, so I didn't have to leave my home. Could still finish school. So that was very important for me in that time.
Yeah.
But I signed my first professional contract when I was 18.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So that was, yeah, very, very rapid, very quick. And the year I signed, the last 2 games of my first season there, I made my debut in the first team. So when I was 18,
Wow.
and basically from there never left the team. So yeah, that was like my early start in professional football when I was 18.
Wow.
So
That sounds like an absolute dream. Okay. But as a teenager, what was it like? Like I'm sure that there were times where you had to choose between football and hanging out with your friends. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because it sounds so glamorous and for anyone, oh my gosh, you signed a professional contract at 18, but there's a lot of give and take with that. So was there ever a
yeah.
moment where you're like, what am I like? I know that this is my dream, but like, I'd really just like to hang out on Friday night with my friends. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a bit of my story. So my dad is very strict on, like, if you choose to do this, you do it to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
So in my time when I was playing that highest amateur level, we had to play on the weekends. And I remember we had like a family party on a Friday night. Came home like maybe 4 a.m. So in my head, I was like, okay, I'm gonna skip training tomorrow because like I'm tired, like big party. Um, but no, my dad woke me up in the morning, a splash of water on my head. And it's
Oh
like,
my
man,
gosh.
yeah, no, it was like a big shock. But the words he said to me is like, if you want to be a man at night, you have to be a man in the morning.
Ooh,
And yeah,
I like that a lot.
yeah.
We need more people living that today.
Oh, but that's kind of where my early mindset was molded.
Yeah.
Because he said like if you choose to do this, you have to put in your best effort.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, that was very early in my career. So with that in mind, I always wanted to strive for the best. And as well, especially early in my career, I was very blessed with the people around me. Because like you said, like Friday nights for us, that would be late night shopping. So it was
Yeah.
always a thing to stay out and be with my mates. But to be fair to them as well, they said, well, like late night shopping, they would send me home. It's like, no, mate, like you have to train tomorrow. So you know, for we are not able to do what you might be able to do. But you still have a chance to do that what you love. So no, they would always send me home, even with parties. Sometimes they wouldn't tell me if there was something on, just not to tell me to
Yeah.
make a decision to go.
Wow.
So I'm very blessed with the people that I had around me, especially in the early days.
I was gonna say, you have some amazing friends. I heard a story about Taylor Swift where she had the opportunity to perform in front to sing the national anthem when she was in school, when she was still in school. And so she did, and she was so excited. And she's Taylor Swift, of course she killed it, right? It was absolutely amazing. And she went back to school the next day and none of her friends would talk to her. And she almost gave up when she was a child because her friends literally like they shunned her. They stopped inviting her to parties because of the jealousy. And like,
Yeah,
all right, every time I tell that story, I get really emotional about it because the people that you surround yourself by are so important. And it sounds like
yeah,
you have some amazing mates to like,
yeah,
to
yeah,
really help propel you forward.
yeah, I agree. Especially in your early days where you don't have like all the knowledge available to you.
Hmm.
So, and I've seen different as well. See, because in at that stage, I would also identify boys that were better than me,
Yeah.
but because of my mindset and mentality and the people around me, I could make a difference in being a footballer. And I've saw boys like slide the other way where, you know, it's tempting to go to the parties, have a drink, go out with the girls and things like that. But especially in my early days, like for me, it was just train, eat, sleep,
Yeah.
basically for the first at least 4 years of just focus on getting a good start.
And that led you to great things. Talk about a little later in your career, talk about some of the amazing things you've accomplished.
So when I made that decision for my first club, that was Sparta Rotterdam. So that was a team that was like bottom to middle of the table.
Mhm.
Still a good team, still had good boys around me. Played there for 3 years. Um, and then another big decision came on my path where I was part of the young national team. So I was out in camp. I don't know which country we were, but it was a transfer, like the last day of the transfer window. And I received a call from my agent, and he said, "Oh, this club, Willem II, they really want you. I have to call them within an hour. So call your dad, have a chat, and we have to make a decision." And I was like, oh my days. We're like, what do we do? Like we got an hour. And it was very big decision because that club came second the year before. They were going to play Champions League, which is
Wow.
also like a dream come true for a kid if you want to play football.
Yeah.
Uh, so like a bit of a panic mode because that was the first time I had to make a big decision like that.
Mhm.
So I called my dad. I said, Dad, Edward gave me boss. This club wants me. What do we do? And my dad he's really like really calm, the calmest dude. And he's like, you know what you do? Put out a piece of paper, write down the positives and the negatives. Give me boss when you're done, and we go from there. And I'm like, okay. Like, you know, I was expecting like
You're
a
like,
big
ah, and your dad's like,
one.
let's be logical.
Yeah,
Let's use our
yeah,
logic.
very. Yeah, because I was expecting like a big speech and like motivational, and it's like, no, without a piece of paper, write down the positives and the negatives. And yeah, everything I wrote down was very positive. So I made that very big decision within 45 minutes. And I was 20 then. And I played Champions League. So I
Wow.
don't know if you guys know like what the Champions League, that's just like the top of football, basically.
It's
The
like now
best.
you went from like the minor leagues to the major leagues,
Yeah,
essentially.
big time. Yeah, big time. And so yeah, that was definitely a dream come true to play Champions League in my early days and have a taste of what it meant to play at the highest level and to perform at the highest level.
Wow.
Um, I stayed at that club for 5 seasons. Had a very good run. After that, made another big transfer to AZ Alkmaar, where I had like two of the best coaches in the Netherlands at that time, Co Adriaans and Louis van Gaal, who later also became the national team coach. And at AZ, so in Holland, basically you have the big three clubs who normally win all the trophies and the championships. But with AZ Alkmaar, we had a very good run and we won the championship when I was there.
Wow.
Uh, and that was like first time in history that one of the teams outside of the top normal top three made it to make it the win the championship. So that was very special in the Netherlands. And as well that time I made it into the national team.
Nice.
So yeah, just everything went upwards from there, to be honest. So winning the championship. I played at the World Cup 2006 in Germany.
What was that like? That's every kid's dream.
That's everything. Yeah, that's everything. And an amazing story as well. Because you talked about mindset and like having those moments where you almost give up and so the last friendly game before they had to make a selection for the World Cup, I got heavily injured. So I thought
No.
my dream, yeah, thought my dream was shattered. I had a very big flesh wound on my leg. Um, I had to go to hospital, a lot of stitches, a lot of drugs. Um, and I remember the day when they had to announce the team, I was like out, like drugged up in bed, pain. Um, And I didn't even know they were announcing it. So I was literally out on bed and my dad came rushing in the room. You made it, you made it. But I was like, what are you talking about? Like, made what? And then he's like, no, you made the team, you made the team.
Wow.
And next thing I know, the coach called me and said, like, I know you're injured. I talked to the medicals. They think you can make it before the World Cup. They'll put you on a schedule. And yeah, I just bursted out in tears because I thought that like, everything was gone at that moment.
That's and at least your dad, thank God your dad didn't make you, okay, we need pros and cons of going to the World Cup. He didn't make you make a
No,
list.
yeah. So yeah, everybody was like really positive. But the process took longer than expected. So normally before the World Cup or any tournament, you have like a big build-up period. And even though I was part of the team, I wasn't really part of the team because I couldn't participate. I couldn't do anything.
Okay.
So I had a pretty like lonely route towards the World Cup. Just like I had my diet, my medicine, training with the physio.
Mhm.
At some point I was at the World Cup, but not really at the World Cup.
Mhm.
Uh, and then there was a big game coming up against Argentina with Messi at that time and a lot of
Ooh.
other superstars. And some boys had a yellow card in the previous game. So if they would have a yellow card, sorry. So if they had another yellow card, they would be suspended for the next games. So the coach had to make some decisions on, resting those players up and putting in some fresh ones. And out of all the players who he could pick, like I was the one picked to play at fullback. Yeah, so even though like I had
Whoa.
that rocky road and having the doubt, having the fear of not, not making it or not being there, but not playing. I was able to play that game, a full game. And that was like the best game as well. Like out of all the opponents we could have picked, like in that World Cup, like Argentina was the biggest team with the biggest stars, played against Messi. So yeah, that was a very, very great experience, and I'm very grateful to be part of that level of football.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I could talk to you about football for like the next 10 days, but I know football is now pretty much behind you, right? And now you've moved on to being you motivate people. You're a motivational speaker. So can you talk about that transition? Because you told me at the beginning you're very competitive, and I know if you're anything like me, like I tell people that I'm addicted to helping other people become successful. Like I love doing that. I love motivating people. So
Yeah.
I was really excited when I had the opportunity to interview you. So
Yeah.
talk about taking what you learned in sport and applying it now to motivating people.
Um, so basically what I tell everyone that I work with or inspire or try to inspire is like my story is your story. Like it's I came from the same neighborhood as you. I got the same round ball as you.
Mhm.
I had my ups and downs. I had my fear, like especially at the highest level. Like every game you play, there's something at stake. Like there are no friendlies, or like if you, let's say you lose or your club is relegated, like there's a lot of things that go on outside just kicking that ball.
Yeah,
There's very big pressure on you every game. And as well in Holland, because of the level of football and the amount of kids that play football, the competition is very big. So if you get injured or you are not the best version of yourself, there are three others that can do what you do.
Mhm.
So like from a very young age, I was very aware of like being the best version of yourself every day. Because
Wow.
if you're not, then somebody else might take your place.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's also the motivation that I give people. Like my business is called Number One Asset, for the reason that I think that you are your number one asset. Like you can have everything in the world, like money or whatever, but if you don't take care of yourself as a person to be the best version of yourself, um, every challenge is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I motivate people in, to be the best version of yourself, be your number one asset. Because whatever you do, if it's sports, if it's business, like if you are running on a 50%, your business is running on 50% as well.
Yeah.
So if you are able to, like, let's say it's 50 and able to bring that 50 up to an 80, like that will catapult into your family life, into your business, into personal. So whatever level you're at, I try to top that up and try to get you to being the best version of yourself.
I love that so much. So let's talk a little bit about stories, because your story is amazing. Do you help people change their stories, or like talk about that? Because I think a lot of times when people are running, like to use your example, when people are running at 50% of their maximum capacity, there's a reason. It's not that they can't do it. There's some
Yep.
story that they're telling themselves. So how do you help people transform that story from, oh, it's just so hard, I can't do it, to no, let's change your story a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, so a big part of the mindset that I coach is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And a lot of people that find it hard to break through, like they get to that ceiling in their emotions, in their feelings, and they think like they can't be better than what they are. Most of them are stuck in that fixed mindset,
Yeah.
and that will always hold you down in whatever you want to accomplish. So I try to get you into that growth mindset where you will try to learn, you try to grow, learn from others, and not just be in that box by yourself, and that keeps you down. So especially with that growth mindset, and if I take myself as an example, like the moments where I thought that I was failing and wasn't doing well, those were the moments that I actually grew the most. And after breaking through, it only went upwards from there. But like going back into that moment where you think you're failing and you think you can't push through, and you got that fixed mindset, then fear will creep in. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like what if I can't? Or like,
I'm not good enough.
yeah, I'm not good enough. And those how would you say? Like that, I would say the talks to yourself or the talks with yourself will all be negative, and then your emotions become negative. It will translate into your body, like
Yeah.
sickness and things like that. So what I really encourage people is to start with a positive self-talk.
Yeah.
Um, Start to visualize positive things for yourself, for your family, for your health. So that will be the first step. And from there, what I really learned as a professional athlete is the structure. What I find with a lot of entrepreneurs is like they got the business, money's coming in, but their life is just ups and downs, and left and rights. So there's no real structure in that. So for me, from a young age, like I was mm, when I had my game on the weekend, that will decide my whole week. So if I had the game on Saturday, I would know what to eat on a Monday, when to eat, what to eat, when to rest. So I was always very structured, and I found that a lot of people don't have that structure.
Yeah.
So that's what I also try to build in, because if you have a certain structure, it will give you peace of mind because you know what's coming.
Yeah.
And then when you have your peak moments in the week, so as an entrepreneur, that might be like you got a sales call on a Wednesday, and that will decide if up your business with a few millions, or you will stay at the same level. Um, for me, that's a peak moment. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, that's just part of the day, or if I make it, yes or no, and I'm like, no, that's not the case. It's a peak moment for you, because if it's a positive outcome, it will catapult you forward. If not, you will stay on the same level. So I make that week for them into like a scheduled week, like I had. Like, how do you build up to your peak moment?
Yeah.
After that peak moment, how do you recover from that? Because you need to release the stress, get a massage, think about yourself, go to the sauna,
Yeah.
because those are the things that they really don't think about, because most of the times it's just the business, and in their head they think they have to be busy all day to be productive, and that's not the case. So I really personally break it down with the client that, okay, this is what's going on in your life. This is where we can bring the structure. This is where we can help with the nutrition. This would be like spirituality, where you take time out to meditate. So I like personally, I really break it down with them into what is the best structure for you to be the best version of yourself.
That's all. I love that so much because being an entrepreneur, like
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I tell the story I tell myself every single day is I don't know what today is going to hold. I do know what today is going to hold, but in my mind it sounds so much cooler to be like, who knows what today? Who
Yeah.
knows? But I love that structure because I think entrepreneurs really need structure. And I think a lot of times people become entrepreneurs because they want to break out of that 9 to 5 structure. But there's a freedom in, like you said, there's a freedom in knowing, okay, on Wednesday I have this big call. So this is how I'm going to prepare on Monday and Tuesday. And I love that you give people permission to, after you have the big call, like it's not nearly the stage as the World Cup, but in my mind, like it's like that big sales call is like, this is the World Cup. And then what do you do the next day? Like you definitely, I love the way that you broke that down. That's really cool.
Yeah, I
Awesome.
think it's important, because I think especially as an entrepreneur, you put pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
And a lot of the entrepreneurs think that if I don't work, or if I'm not at the business or not working at the business, then it will tumble or it will slide, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Like if you take care of yourself first, then everything else in your life will go with the flow you are in.
Yeah. That's so true. Okay. Let me ask you a question. What is something that you are working on right now that you are excited about, that like just like lights your fire, that gets you like excited every day?
So one of the things would be the book. Uh,
Yes, tell
yeah,
us a little
yeah,
bit
yeah,
more about
yeah.
that. That's so exciting.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting. And because I haven't been in business that long compared to some other entrepreneurs, like I really found joy in helping others. And one of the things in my business coaching was that I have to put myself out there.
Yeah.
Because I'm not really that, outspoken person. Like normally people don't really know who I am or what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that puts it out there. Um,
Okay, hold on. So you just said the book. You and I know this book. Who are you co-authoring a book with?
yeah, with the big Brian Tracy, which is very, very exciting for myself as a mindset coach,
Yeah.
because he's one of the people that I look up to. Also a person that helped a lot of people with his books, with his speeches. So I'm definitely like very excited to be on the road with him, and being part of the book. Yeah, that's a very, like, how would I say it? Like also a dream come true, to be honest. Because I never imagined like after being a player, going a different route to be able to do things like this.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. I'm so excited for the book. I'm so excited
Yeah.
to read your chapter. I've only read one chapter so far. I haven't read your chapter yet, but I'm really excited to read your chapter, and I'm really excited just to have the opportunity to do this interview. Thank you so much for doing this interview today.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to have you. You're going to be working with us here at Visioncraft as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Also
your,
excited about that. Yeah.
your story is amazing, and I can't wait to help you share your story on a bigger level, because the nuggets that you've given me in this interview, like I can't wait for that to get out on the big stage and for
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
to know you not only as football star, but as coach, because anyone listening, like the tips that we've received from you, like when you start talking about coaching and like structuring your day, like they're fundamental things that everyone can apply. So whether you're an entrepreneur, a coach, a mindset coach, an actor, it doesn't matter. Structure is so important, but the way that you laid it out is amazing. And so I just want to thank you so much for being here on the podcast today. I can't wait to meet. I have the opportunity to meet you like next week.
Yeah, next week already.
Next
Yeah. Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
pretty amazing. So thank you so much for being here. And
My
how can
pleasure.
people find you? If someone heard this and they were like, okay, Q, I want to be a part of your community. How can people find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Kew Jaliens 78. I'm on linked, Kew Jaliens, my normal name, Facebook, Kew Jaliens. And so I'm working on my website at the moment, but that's gonna be numberoneasset.com,
Awesome.
where they can find all the information and go from there. I'm pretty excited about helping people, and getting people into becoming the best versions of themselves, because I know the pressure, I know the walks of life, and I'm here to help out.
Yeah. I mean, a man who played against Messi in the World Cup, I think he can help you get your life together and moving forward. So Q, thank you so much for being here on Coffee in the Green Room. Anyone
Okay.
listening, make sure you hit subscribe to Coffee in the Green Room, not only for this interview, but because I have so many more amazing entrepreneurs I'm going to be interviewing. And if you want to learn how to tell your story, if you want to hear other people's stories and be inspired, like you said, his story is your story. My story is your story. We all share the same story. Now we just have to get out there and talk about it. So thank you again so much for being here. Everyone hit subscribe on the Coffee in the Green Room podcast, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.